Okay, so
On we go.
this is a hearing for the Town of Webster Zoning Board of Adjustment, and we'll start by, and it is February 13th, 2024, and we'll start by having the secretary do attendance.
I have attendance for 3 of them here. I'm not sure which one you want me to start with. Which case do you want to start with?
Oh, well, actually, you can just take attendance for, I guess not, no.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, right.
3 different pages.
Yes, okay, so the first case is Chesley.
Chesley? Okay. Marty Bender.
Present.
Robert Drown.
Present.
Barbara Corliss, I'm here. Robert
Clegus, yeah.
Clegus. I'll get it. Dee Blake.
Here.
Guy La Rochelle.
Here.
Susan Roberts. Here. We have a full house.
Okay. And I will do something unusual, because I'll actually try and do this in the right order that Russ had. So let's first review the minutes from the last hearing. Has anybody looked them over?
No. Where are the minutes, Russ?
Should be in the back.
Yes, they'll be in the package.
And there will not be minutes from the last 2 meetings because there wasn't a quorum.
Right.
So I'm just gonna put in a little minute in there that says there was no quorum.
Anything, anybody else have any comments on them? Okay, so if there's no objection, I will say that those are our minutes from the last 2 hearings. Russ does a very nice job. And we'll accept them. And also, before we get going, since we have such a full house, I would like to point out that we really need to go through our bylaws. We're supposed to check these over at least once a year. So I will at least, does everybody have them?
I knew I had some new.
So you did get the bylaws?
No, I just printed them out because I'm new.
Oh, okay. I actually have 2 extra copies. Does anybody need them?
Tonight, I don't have it here.
Okay.
Are they online?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Here's another, here. Okay. So I would say that by the next hearing, whenever that is, we'll say, yeah, if there's any changes to be made to the bylaws or anything, but at least everybody has to at least read our bylaws. Okay, so now we can get started. And it is 7:08, and we will start by having the case of Christopher Chesley. And really nice. I guess you'll have to do it right here.
Move down, and then we can put you on the corner.
Okay.
I'll slide down.
And I'll go over it once again, even though you were here for the last 2 months ago. I'll tell you what the process is. As you remember, we will hear, starting with you, you'll present to us exactly what it is that you want, and the board will interrupt you at all times. Then we'll hear from anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of you. Then we'll hear from anybody who wishes to speak in opposition. There'll be a chance for rebuttal by you, rebuttal by the opposition. At that point, after we've heard from everybody, we will close the hearing. We'll open it up to discussion by the board. Now, if the board, and 95% of the time, the board will, not even 99% of the time, the board will issue a decision tonight. You or those opposed have 30 days in which to ask for a rehearing. You have to have the reasons why there should be a rehearing. If, and depending on what the board does, you then have 30 days after that to file with the Superior Court.
Okay.
So go ahead, tell us exactly again what it is that you want to do.
So I'm going to stand for this because it's product. So I have established a towing business in 2015. Since that time, I have always parked my vehicles at my yard. I do have a storage lot that I rent space at Ajax Auto in Warner off exit 9. So the vehicles that I tow and have to store are taken there. The town, excuse me, the town has not used me for rotation for police calls. So that was the reason for my petition to the town. I want to be on the town's rotation. As a resident, I think it's proper. In the investigation for this, the select board or whoever checking into my establishment, the Secretary of State has my business registered at my address, my home address. And so initially I was told I needed to apply for a home business. And then in the first meeting that we were here, it came up that because the vehicles are parked in the yard, I needed to apply for the commercial. So that is why I need this, because I want to be on the rotation. But now because of everything, it seems like I need to have approval just to be able to have my business, period. Now, I'm not asking to store cars there. What's there is my own personal property. My storage goes up to Warner, and I'm actually in negotiations with a location in Henniker for a larger storage area. So you still won't have any business storage there, but I still want to park my vehicles there as I'm the only driver. And if I get a call, I can't go 20 minutes to get the truck and then come 20 minutes back.
So first of all, you only have one tow truck?
I have a rollback, which is the flatbed that is
Yeah.
generally what everybody sees, but I do have a wrecker.
Okay.
And then my pickup truck is also labeled with my company business. And I'll use that on occasion for a fuel delivery, tire change, or something to that effect.
Okay, and so there's nothing else that you have for your business besides those vehicles, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you wouldn't be towing anything to your house, like you just said, they'd be towed either to Warner or Henniker.
Correct. So it's not unusual to see me loading or unloading in my yard. If my rollback, I just had it in the shop last week. So I loaded one of my personal vehicles, drove it over there, unloaded the personal vehicle, drove the personal vehicle back. When I needed to pick up the truck, I did the reverse. If I need to take one of my personal vehicles into repairs, I'll do the same. I'll load it on my truck and I'll take it to the repairs and then I'll bring my truck back. So it's not unusual, especially since I have I have 3 vehicles that are small, plus the rollback itself, actually 4 vehicles right now. And so to load one up and have to take it for repairs, that's not unusual in my yard. But I can prove everything that I have there is mine, it's in my yard. So that would be pretty much what I have.
So under no circumstances would you be towing somebody else's vehicle to your yard?
No, if I do, it stays on my bed.
Okay.
So I'm confused. So in your application, it says to operate a towing business for home, office space, parking of equipment, and temporary storage of towed vehicles.
I took off
The
it must
towed-
still be on there, I took off the temporary storage.
Okay, thank you. So basically, you're just gonna have your rollback, your wrecker, and your pickup truck. You're considering that the parking of your equipment? Is that correct? Okay. In your home office space?
Correct.
All of those vehicles in your yard registered?
No. No, I'll tell you they're not.
How many would not be?
I'd have to look. I have some 90s trucks that are in good shape. They're more of a hobby that I want to put back on the road, and I have some parts trucks to go with them. So those are not, and I have 2 campers that are just, they need to have the interior gutted because they're moldy. And until I'm ready to put them on the road, I was hoping not to have to register them.
How many unregistered vehicles is he allowed to have on his?
I'm just looking.
Isn't it two, isn't it two?
I thought it was one.
Two of the parts thereof.
So-
Is that
so you can
correct,
have
Russell?
Two,
I believe it's 2.
what?
I believe it's 2.
I believe it is
Two of the
two.
parts thereof. In other words, he can have a truck and a rear end of another one, so therefore it's parts thereof.
The part that gets me is there shall be no physical evidence of equipment or materials visible from the lot line, and yet there's plenty. I mean, I was looking from Google Earth, and that lot looks like it's got an awful lot on it.
I have storage trailers out back, which the town is taxing me on. I have semi-trailers and some box trucks out there. I believe they're all being taxed as well as my chicken coop.
I'm sorry,
They're all being taxed as buildings or storage as well as my chicken coop. I'm under the standing,
tax for a chicken coop.
I'm under the understanding that my chicken coop is being considered a building and it's being taxed.
Huh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Might be why my valuation went up so high this year. They finally caught up with my greenhouse. Okay, another one, 25% of the gross floor area in the dwelling, not more than that, is your home business.
Correct.
Correct.
I have a little 9x9 space.
Okay.
What's in that 9x9 space?
The
That
jail cell.
a desk.
Oh, okay.
A desk and 2 file cabinets.
So, on page 9, we have no special exception shall be issued but for a property where there is an existing violation of this ordinance unless the granting of the exception will correct the violation.
I'm sorry, Sue, I didn't hear you.
9, I'm sorry, I can't.
I know.
Page 9,
You sound a little hoarse. Page 9.
I got a few of those. Page 9D, existing violations.
That's under commercial exceptions.
Yeah, we were looking at.
But I thought, right,
He's looking for a commercial exception, yeah.
No?
not anymore.
No,
Well, no, he's still looking for a home business.
Isn't it a home business and a commercial exception because the vehicles are outside? That was my understanding at the first meeting, that with the commercial business, because the vehicles can be seen outside, it needs to be a commercial exception.
Well, I thought that we were talking about you're having other vehicles, not yours, but
Right.
the others that you were towing. And,
No,
That's-
the towed vehicles, I have storage for.
right. So you're saying that now you will only have those towed vehicles in either Warner or Henniker, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
But-
and you're still asking for a home business.
Well, my understanding, the initial application was a home business.
Right, and it
Okay.
still is.
Wasn't it, but didn't it upgrade
No.
to a commercial business?
if you were bringing your vehicles you're towing home, that would be commercial.
Correct.
Well, so, but
That's why I was
in our first
confused.
indication, they said no, because you said no,
I think you got it backwards.
no outdoor, no visible, you can't have anything visible of the home business outdoors, correct?
Well, that's part of, let me read it
That's the
to
home
you.
business D. There shall
It's
be
home
no
business.
physical evidence of equipment or materials visible from the lot line.
Yeah,
So
that's under home business.
Right, so the no, and because my vehicles are parked where they can be seen, I was told I had to apply for commercial.
My understanding
Well,
was.
first of all, you didn't apply for a commercial exception.
We redid that, didn't we?
When I
still have
I'm
The
the
first
original
time, the
application.
first one, because, so the first meeting we had, it said that I applied for a home. And in that meeting, it was brought up that it's actually commercial because the vehicles could be seen from the road. So I got with Russ before the next one and applied for commercial.
Well,
Thought I did.
I'm just saying, I looked at it this morning and I thought, it looks to me like he is looking for a home business. He didn't change it to being a commercial.
I thought I did somewhere along the way.
And, well, you know, and I don't know if this change, it certainly looks like it could change because it's a lot, it's, let's see, is there a date on this?
No, there's no gate.
There's no date.
Need a date stamp at town hall.
Oh, a date. Yeah, there's a gate.
The application that we have is for Article 5, Section 2, which is the home business. I don't have an application for Article 1, Section 1, which would be the commercial exception. So I was running under the assumption that we are still talking home
All right,
business.
so, all right,
And it seems to me that you still can get a home business.
okay.
Because as long as you're not towing in those other vehicles, I don't see any problem.
Okay.
But he did say that somebody towed came in on his truck and went and sat on his truck overnight.
Yeah, but that would be, I believe, my opinion would be that as long as it's staying on the truck, it's not like he's
Putting it on the ground.
in his yard, yeah.
Okay.
At least, you know, I don't know, I think that's fair. I mean, I can still see this as a home business.
I can see this as a home business. The one that gets me is the stuff that's visible from the, where was that one? Visible from the lot
Right.
line. That there's so much other stuff there that's visible from the lot line that at some point will somebody start complaining that you've got a junkyard?
Well, they already complained, even before I started towing. Okay, so, but none of that's related to the towing business.
This is different. That's what you're saying?
Right, it's not related to the towing business. The towing business is separate from that.
Okay.
And it's a separate issue if you have vehicles that aren't registered, correct?
If there's more than 2 unregistered vehicles, yeah, that's a problem, but,
It's not our problem.
right.
It will be your problem eventually, yes.
I'm slowly working on adjusting everything in the yard, cleaning it up. It's a lot. It won't be fast.
Got a little big, is that what you're saying?
Well, and I used to have, my concessions business that I had gave me anywheres from, there'd be times I'd have 2 or 3 weeks with nothing going on, that I could do whatever I needed to do. So when you have a whole day to do things, it's easy to get a lot done. If I have to be in the truck on the road, and I'm out 14 hours on the truck, I don't get a whole lot done with the truck.
Makes sense.
And I'm busier with the truck than I was with the concessions.
Are you still running the concession at all?
I'm at the point where it's almost a hobby. I've been out twice with it the last 2 years. I don't know if it's going out this year or not. I'm actually eliminating some of that equipment.
You're gonna keep your driveway right where it is, correct?
Correct.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm still having a problem. Can we discuss now, or?
Well,
You-
we're not, just ask, if you have questions for him, yeah, but let's not, we'll discuss it
Okay.
after.
Sorry.
So, Marty,
Yeah.
just who's gonna be voting on this application? Since we got a full board, we have more than 5 members.
Right, that will be the usual regulars.
Okay.
And obviously, so it would be, you know, Sue and people by Rob.
Rob, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We won't
'cause-
confuse that.
Right, and they are, since
He's
they're,
got,
what?
I don't think, because you already discussed this once.
What was that?
I think you've already discussed this with Chris once. Because you're on the select. board.
remember.
Well, she's on the select board, and this was on the board.
Oh.
That was my concern.
Yeah, I did read that.
Yeah.
That, yeah, but
I don't remember him coming to the meeting.
I don't see why that would be
You know, it would be,
conflict.
okay.
I don't think so. Well, it's, actually, I'll leave it up
That's all right.
to Dee. You know, do you feel that there would be any kind of,
Not really.
okay,
Okay, well, that's
all
awesome.
right, yeah, so we'll leave Dee on it then. Okay, so it'll be the regular,
No, that's-
the regular 5. Okay, so, unless anybody has more questions for Mr. Chesley, then we'll keep on going here. Now hear from anybody who wishes to speak in favor of Mr. Chesley. No more questions for him?
No.
Okay. Anybody who wants to speak in opposition to Mr. Chesley? Yeah.
I live
State your
across
name,
the street
please.
from
State
Chris.
your name, please.
Tom Reardon, and I live across the street from Chris. And the first meeting we had, I spoke to Chris out in the parking lot after the meeting, and he told me what he wanted to do. 35 years ago, I did the same work that he is doing, and it's a messy business. You're picking up cars that have collided, and they're leaking all their fluids all over the place. Radiators are cracked open, maybe it was hit hard enough to crack the transmission. All that is at the accident scene, it ends up on the deck of your rollback, and if it sits on the truck overnight, let's say it rains during the night, it all rinses off the deck onto the ground. I have a well for drinking water, all my neighbors have wells for drinking water. And Chris is actually on the higher ground in our neighborhood. He's on the other side of 127. And all the surface water washes towards us, goes under a culvert under 127 and runs behind our property. I have no idea what the water table does, but I can just imagine the same will be true there. And what would I do without water?
Do I get to respond?
Wait, 'cause
Okay.
I'll wait for, let's hear from anybody else who wants to speak in favor or in opposition to Mr. Chesley.
I'm Chris Reardon, Tom's
Sure.
wife. My perspective is just slightly different, even though I am concerned about the well. Where we sit, when Chris has his vehicles in his property running, which happens quite often, could happen night or day, anytime, night or day, fills our house like it's a prison yard with the lights from his vehicles. Andy has a series of lights that are on 24/7 around his property, which shine onto our property, which is not why we moved to Webster. We didn't move to Webster to live with blinding lights constantly shining into our house. He can park one wrecker in his yard with the lights going and light up my backyard. And you can see right down to the wood line in the back of our house. And it's becoming more and more, because he is increasing his business, it is becoming more and more of an issue. And I know, in having talked to a few neighbors, that they're having the same issue with the lights. And it is a problem for us, for me, not for us, I won't speak for Tom. For me, it is a problem, because it is a big inconvenience to want to live in a rural area and have bright lights shining into your home. We had to buy blackout curtains for some of the rooms to be able to even sleep at night, because the lights are so bright and constant. So that's just my peace of mind being able to say that tonight, so.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
you bring cars home to your house, but you have 2 other places, why don't you just bring those cars to the other places?
No, the only time I usually will keep a car on my bed.
That's
is-
it?
Yes, it doesn't come off the truck. If I pull into the yard and I have to, say I have a tow at the end of the night that, well, for instance, I have one here that I'm supposed to, just canceled out, where I would go pick up a car and it needs to go to Manchester, but I have to go up to Lyme to get it. By the time we're done here and I get up there, I'll be coming back at 10:30 tonight. And it's not gonna make a difference whether I take the car to the dealership tonight or tomorrow morning. I would stop it and just park the truck in the yard, and I get up in the morning and I drive it down and finish the tow. But that's usually the scenario. My memory's not the greatest, but I can tell you, it might happen once in a quarter, so maybe 4, maybe 6 times a year. It's not very much. And these vehicles that I bring into there are not wrecked. They're usually, the one tonight's got probably a bad wheel bearing. It's a Mercedes, it just has to be taken down to the shop. Most times, most of my work right now, 95% of my work is for roadside programs like AAA. And the majority of that is just towing from point A to point B. Sometimes you'll get a car, like Tom saying, that is wrecked or damaged, but by the time I get to it, all the fluids are out of it pretty much. If I do load it on the bed and a little bit comes on my bed, usually by the time I do the up and downs of the hills to get to where I'm going or back to the house, there's nothing on the bed but maybe a residue. And you're gonna get a residue on the street out in front of you from oil dropping off of the trucks driving by. And to address the light issue, I have lights on at night. So they're solar activated. I have one in particular that lights up my yard, which is comfortable for me when I go out at night. We do have bears and foxes and other animals in the area. And I have a second one that I reestablished this last summer that's on a timer. It comes on for about 4 hours a day and goes out. The lights that Chris is talking about for my trucks, the way I park my rollback, if I go out and just start it up and forget to pull the hand parking brake up, the daylight running lights come on, and yes, it does shoot across the street. If I pull that parking brake on, they go out. And then if I start up my Tahoe, the lights are just on. Whatever direction it's pointing at is where the lights go. And right now, it sits with the passenger side towards their house, so the light shoots more towards the other houses downstream, and mostly into my yard. So that light is not shooting directly at their house. None of the lights shoot directly at their house. They get more light from the night lights that I put on, the outdoor lights, than they do from my trucks. My neighbor directly across the street gets more of the light directly from the truck. I have been trying to pay more attention to that and pull the brake, so that they don't get it. When I'm backing in and out of the yard, that is when they'll do it. You do not want, and it's against the law, for me to back into the streets. So I always pull up, and unfortunately my friend Brennan has to swing towards both houses, and I back in. Once I'm in the yard, I shut the lights off, and then I shut the truck off. And that's the majority of the light that happens. Once in a while, I might be working on the truck where I need the lights on, you might have something there, whether I have a light issue or something. But that's pretty much where it's at.
I'm gonna disagree because I live there. And I know it's hard for all of you to understand this. It is not as minor as he is making it. It is every day. Every day the lights are shining into our house. Not once in a while, every day.
This is the lights that you've got on a timer, or?
They are
Well,
not,
there's
there are
one
lights
out
that are
front
not
on
on
the tree.
timers.
One at a time, please.
Stop.
One at a time.
There are lights not on timers. There are lights that are on 24/7.
Is that true?
No.
No.
And you're welcome to come view my property.
You said
anytime.
no, or I couldn't hear you.
It's not on 24/7, no. So there is a light that is on a tree up towards the front, which is probably the majority of the light that you'll see at night. It is on a timer, I can show you the timer. You go by tonight at 10:30, 11 o'clock, you'll see that it's not on. The other light that is on in the yard It's got the bell dome on it. It sits attached to my shed, on the farther end of the shed, and that is on a solar light that is up on all the time. That light does flood. It's not, the shield keeps the direct light going over there, but there is ambient light that floods over there and floods across the street and out onto the road. And that's just a regular outdoor light, floodlight. But it's not a directed floodlight.
I personally, I love living in Webster. The light pollution kills me. I'm sorry, it does. Just being a good neighbor, because you put in like motion sensors on those lights, so they only go on when somebody's out there. Just a suggestion.
Well, I had that for years, I've had it that way. But my sister had lived with me for a while, and she comes from an area that was not a good area, and she has PTSD. And when she was here, she wouldn't let me shut the lights off. And so the compromise was just to say, okay. Eventually I grew accustomed to it. And I don't have that light on a timer. It's just directly wired into a breaker switch. So I would have to create a timer to get it to shut off. But otherwise, I would still run it till probably 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, because when I go out to take the dog for a walk, I want the light.
Yeah.
So then it would be off after that, but I don't know if it would make a difference.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, but what's the law against having a night light?
There isn't. It's just, when I was a kid, you used to see the Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't see it anymore. Because there's somebody over on Tyler Road that has got, I think he's got a Shiner business. I can see his lights from my house on Deer Meadow, over the hill.
I sort of understand. My neighbors, I noticed that the new neighbors to my
Sorry, you're off
left,
topic.
I see their lights too, and I understand what you're saying on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
Marty, can I
yeah,
ask one more
sure,
question?
go ahead.
You said that most of your work is for like,
Think of AAA.
okay. So you said you wanted to be on the town's,
Rotation, or
Yeah.
police calls, right?
so you would be taking cars that are damaged back to your house, correct? No.
I'd be taking them either to Warner,
So
where I have,
but where I'm confused is, so you wouldn't be taking cars that have been in a wreck back to your house?
for the most part, no.
But there might be an occasion where you would.
Okay, yeah, occasionally, but it would be on my truck. It would never leave the truck.
Okay.
It's rare, generally. Most of the cars that come in there are roadable.
Gotcha.
What happens if you pull in with a car at midnight, leave it on your truck, and you get another call at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I have to refuse that call, or I have to make the decision to go take it to Warner and drop it there, in which case I have to negotiate with the call to give me the extra time to go do that. It's a choice. What I'll end up doing eventually, if I get on the rotation and the calls come in that type of a manner, no matter what, I'll probably start taking them to storage, because that way there I'm available for the police call. Right now, I'm not on a police call, not on anybody's rotation. So if I have a car like tonight, I can leave it on my bed. There's no rush, there's no issue. But if I'm on rotation and I chance losing that rotation call, then I have to make the decision just to drop it, no matter how tired I am, into storage, so that I'm available for that rotation.
You know what the zoning is in your area?
Pretty much everything's residential in Webster, isn't it?
Residential
Residential,
Agriculture.
The whole town.
Right, all the same.
Well, Pillsbury Lake isn't agricultural.
What was that?
Pillsbury Lake is not agricultural.
What, they don't grow flowers?
I get another question that wasn't brought up, but with him running his trucks across the road, how much of a problem is there with fuel, with exhaust problems going across the street?
Occasionally, but I have to be outside to experience that. There's been a few days I'd be sitting out in the driveway tinkering with something. And it does, until there's a good stream of traffic going by to move it, It does seem to come right across the street.
But he doesn't, if he's going out on a call, he's letting his truck warm up, there's not an exhaust problem coming across the street.
I can't say that I've experienced that.
Okay, okay.
Generally, the most you're gonna smell out of that truck is it's the electronic engine. Most times you're gonna smell it at startup, when it's cold.
So you're gonna pick
But
up
he's-
and what size are the other two trucks?
Pardon?
You're gonna pick up and what size are the other two trucks?
The rollback's considered a C6500, it's a C6500, it's the highest you can go, it's under 26,000 pounds, you don't need a CDL for that. The next one is the next size up, which is the first step in the CDL, and it's an international 4900, but it's 33,000 GVW or less.
Anybody have any more questions?
I just wondered, would it be a problem if you said you had one light you leave on a lot? Can't you just put it on a timer and so it wouldn't aggravate the neighbors?
I can do that, but I'm still gonna leave it on till midnight, and then I can have it go off after
Even
midnight.
if you're
I
not
don't know if that
gone,
would be a help.
even in the house, you'll leave it on till midnight anyway?
When we have people coming and going.
Oh, you do?
We have friends, we have children. When they're coming and going, I like to have a light on for them.
Oh, yeah, well,
When
that makes sense.
When I go outside to walk my dog, which I'm not sure, I might take her out at 6, I might take her out at 10 or 11, then I would have the light on for that.
I got one more question. Is your lot big enough, if it were cleared, that you could drive around the buildings, park out back? So you're not bothering all the neighbors? And then once you get a call, you could start them out back and then take off?
It is. The only thing that I have reason why I have not done that, when you get weather like right now, unless I spend a lot of money and put gravel back there and put the actual road back there.
You're an established business, trucking business with big trucks.
I'm semi-established.
You can,
I will, let me just say this, as the only driver and the expenses that I have, I'm not the kind of person that can take and shut down for 3 months and survive. I am pretty close to.
I'm not asking you to shut down, I'm just asking you to develop your driveway
Mhm.
so you're not bothering everybody in the neighborhood. Parking your vehicle so when you start and stop, the lights are shining into the woods. You have woods behind your house.
I can actually, I can address that with 2 ways. I may not have to move it back, but if I change the directions of the trucks, it won't shine across the road. And that shouldn't bother anybody.
That'd take care of a lot of issues.
Okay, I can do that. One's not
Scout's
working
on
right
her?
now. Right?
Scout's honor?
Yeah, she'll see him park nose down in from now on. So when you come by,
It's not just one neighbor.
I was never
It's
scout. so-
multiple neighbors.
Right, so if you look at the property when you drive in,
Drive by your property 5 or 6 times a day.
so right now,
your
you
property
always
this
see
way.
the nose of the truck sticking out.
Yep.
Okay? I can either drive it straight in, or I can put it to the left. When I put it to the left, it aims towards Clough Sanborn. There's trees there, and you have Clough Sanborn, and
Your
there's
neighbors
trees.
across the street there too.
Yes, but I can't see his house, and he can't see my house.
Okay.
So I don't believe that'll be any effect there. No, I can ask him, I know Matt, so I'll park it there and I'll ask him. This way, because right now, to go out back, what the conditions are with the property, it is, as you said, this is an agricultural area. My property is got a loam upper part with basically clay underneath. And when you get into the wet times, I get buried easily out there. I'd rather not have to try and put it out there all the time, because it will be an expense to put the gravel out.
If you want this home business with these large vehicles, you're gonna have to make some adjustments.
I will. I'll start with changing it around and see if that bothers. In fact, I'll even go to them and say, how is that? The only thing that I have, do I have to turn my lights off at night on the house?
Can you make some adjustment with your lights so they're not blaring all the neighbors?
The one that's in the front, I'll just turn that off. The one that's on the timer, that one's probably the majority of
Can you
the.
redirect it?
That one I'll just turn off. It won't need to. The one that's farther back that I leave on all the time is the one that has a dome that comes out and down. I'll spray paint the top of the dome, see if it
All
keeps
I'm
it.
asking is that you consider being a good neighbor.
I am, and I will. That's why I'm not open to changing the direction of the truck. What you're asking to go out back, I could probably do that. I would have to do it in the summertime. Right now, it's not gonna happen, just because of the weather and stuff.
You'll have to put a better driveway in.
I'll have to create a driveway out around, yes. I'll have to bring in materials to do that. For now, it'll have to be redirected so that instead of pointing, the way I park it right now is where I can just drive out and go. I will change it to a different direction where I'll have to back out and go, but the headlights will not be shining across the road. I don't believe any of the neighbors will be bothered with them because of the trees that they'll be pointed at. So that shouldn't be a problem. And the other trucks, if I leave the Tahoe where it is, the lights shine towards the other truck. I don't see where moving the one truck might resolve that problem. I'll shut off the light out front, we won't have that. And the other domed one that's in the yard that lights up my yard, it has a clear plastic dome around it. I'll spray paint that dark to see what happens, to try and shoot the light down versus spread. I can do that, but I don't feel to get this approval that I need to turn off the light on my house for the night light so I can walk it outside safely.
We can't ask you to,
I'm not asking him to shut the lights up, I'm just asking him to be a more considerate neighbor, coming and going.
I will, and the only thing I can.
This is a residential zone property. It's not a
Yes.
commercial zone property.
Right.
Residential.
The only thing that I will have to say in my defense for anything is no matter what, as I come and go, because of, as Tom says, or Chris says, I sit a little bit higher than the other two across the street. My headlights are gonna watch them no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's my Volvo, if it's my pickup truck, if it's my Tahoe, that is going to happen. I will aim the truck where when it's idling, the lights are directed away from them.
and why do you have those lights on if you're just idling?
Well, they come on automatically. So as soon
It's
as
a
I turn the
safety
truck on,
feature.
the daylight running lights come on. And the only way I can turn them off is to pull the handbrake. There's two brake systems on the truck. The handbrake doesn't work great, so a hydraulic brake lock was installed to hold the truck. So I use the hydraulic brake lock all the time. I don't use the handbrake all the time, so I don't always think about it. So I might pull in the daylight, just apply the hydraulic brake, get up in the morning, go out and fire up the truck, not realizing that I hadn't pulled the handbrake and the headlights are shooting across the street. Okay, and sometimes, just in the morning, I just don't think about pulling that brake up. And then, on the Tahoe, it came with the lights on. And when I turn the truck on, the headlights light up. So I don't know how to shut those off. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Do you have a procedure for if you would get a vehicle that's leaking fluids?
I would take it to my storage. I wouldn't leave it there. So,
Do you have a bucket of Speedy Dry, I guess is what I'm
yes,
asking.
I have it. Well, I have Speedy Dry in the truck, and I have spare buckets around. I have that, and I have fire extinguisher.
So again, being a considerate neighbor and not polluting your well
Right,
along with everyone else's.
right. No, if I, even working on my own personal vehicles, you take an oil filter off and it slips out of your hand and you miss the bucket. You pick it up, you throw it on the drain bucket, you go get Speedy Dry, or you get the shovel, you clean it up, you put it in the garbage and you send it away. I do that, because my well is closer than Tom's. I like my water, you don't have to bottle it, you don't have to you don't have to filter anything, you could bottle it. I want it to stay that way. That was why I bought the house, because the water was so good. So I don't want my well polluted either.
So I have another concern.
Wait,
Yeah.
Is it a question for him?
Well, it might
Because
be.
otherwise, wait for our discussion.
Okay, all right, I'll wait, thanks.
Okay.
But he might have a response. But, you know.
Well, then ask him.
Well, you said that you don't normally haul vehicles that are damaged.
The majority of them are not.
Okay. My issue comes from, or my concern comes from a little different area. So currently, I mean, Emmett gets a lot, because he's the fire chief, a lot of emails regarding, and you're probably well aware of this, battery-operated vehicles. The average person is not quite up to par on this, but these things can ignite on
Right.
an auto recovery vehicle. A lot of people in recovery are actually putting in immersion tanks for these types of things. My concern would be, I can fully well see, I would probably do the same thing. You're out, it's midnight, 1 o'clock, you come home with one of them, and they will ignite. They've been known to ignite. And there was a training 2 nights ago on this. So, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns at this time, and I'm not the person to speak to this issue at all, but I think as a town, we should be aware that that can happen. And we need to be cognizant of the fact that you have a professional fire department, but they are a professional volunteer fire department. And I question if we have the resources, if there's a way to limit that. I don't think we're ready for battery-operated cars to be sitting in your yard. That would be my concern, and it may be personal, but, and I'm not against this, that's a concern I have, and that's probably my biggest concern, was, you brought up a good point, the lighting, you know, the neighborhood, people are concerned about these things. But we definitely don't want that to happen, and I know you don't want that to happen. But it's happening, and I mean, it's a concern, so.
So a question for you. When you hear about these cars catching on fire, are they sitting in the yard plugged into the house?
No, they've had them reported on auto recovery vehicles going down a turnpike. They've had them, fire departments have sat for hours because you have to wait for those batteries to cool down. There's a whole process to this. You might have heard about this from Jake. I mean, there's a lot that I'm not versed in. I'm on the fire department, but this is not my thing. But when I left tonight, Emmett mentioned it again. So, I mean, it is a concern, and I'm just bringing it up to the board that we should be aware of that.
Can I
So-
respond? Okay. So I've never brought an electric vehicle to my yard, to my house.
But once we say it's okay,
Well,
you could.
well, it still wouldn't, I'm not asking to do anything different than what I do now. So the vehicles that would come to the yard would be random. It would be maybe one or, well, say 4 to 6 a year at the most, generally. And if I'm on rotation, it probably wouldn't even be that. Most of the cars that I tow that are battery operated are for, the car won't start, the charging system's not working.
Right, they're not wrecked.
They're not wrecked.
I heard
Right,
you.
they're not wrecked.
Yeah.
Right. The wrecked one's generally gonna go to the storage yard anyway. Beyond that, you have just as much danger of a car igniting, electric vehicle igniting in your yard, plugged into your house, as I would have with it sitting on the back of my truck. Well, not sitting on the back, not generally. For the most of the cars that I tow, electric cars, you probably have the same level of danger as I would have on my truck. But if it's a wrecked car, okay, so if it's a wrecked electric car, it's going to storage. If it's just a tow car from point A to point B, because the thing won't turn on, it's no
That's a
different
different-
than if it was in your yard and it wouldn't turn
And
on.
I understand that. The cars I'm talking of and speaking of are cars that have
Generally
gotten in an
accident
accident.
vehicles, right.
And your fire departments are sitting and extinguishing them and having to stay in a holding pattern for a long time. I know a lot of firemen, so.
No, and I understand that concern, but I
But
have
that
not
is a
towed.
concern they need to hear,
Right, okay.
okay?
And I have not towed one of those cars yet that have been in that condition.
Okay. But how do you control that? You see what I'm saying? I'm not, I don't want to sound like I'm against this,
Yeah,
because I think it's a service, and I think it's a good service. But I also think we need to go into it with our eyes wide open. We're not Concord, New Hampshire, with a full-time fire department with manned stations. And even they would probably have concerns.
I think the statistic is 30,000 gallons of water to put one out.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know.
Yeah, and then they have to
You'll get
wait.
that. And it's time, yeah.
Yeah.
They can rate night over.
and
days.
you're talking volunteers. So that wasn't my only concern, other than the other things that you brought up. They were my concern.
so on that one, I can say simply that any vehicle, any electric vehicle that I get that's damaged, I will guarantee that I will put it to storage and it will not come in my yard.
Oh, good. I
So,
was gonna recommend that.
other than that, it should be written.
That's,
Well, written into
Sure, we
his,
can put it in.
If you
that's
were
my
gonna-
plan.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So, anybody else have any other comments to make? Either, yes?
I'll say something. Grant Kilmister, neighbor. It really breaks my heart to tell my other neighbor what he can and cannot do. But I just wish the overall appearance was a little bit cleaner. I just don't want it to get worse with the towing and stuff, but, you know, I'd love to have you tow one of my cars, and I've never even met you. I'm sure we'll be good neighbors, but it's just, I wish we could, like you said, go around back with the trucks or something. I don't know.
What I'm asking for right now is no change. It's not to make it worse, because you're asking, you don't want it to get worse. That was one of the first things you said.
Hopefully.
Okay. So, no, it's going to get better, it's going to get cleaned up, it's going to get better. It's easier right now that all the boys are out of the house. I'll just leave it that way, it's just easier that they're not here. I now have more time to do what I need to do versus following them around. Okay. So as the summer comes along, things will get better. You can't notice it, but some stuff did get taken care of this last fall. You won't notice it. So it's moving in that direction, but it won't get worse. So, and I'll look at everybody's bringing up the possibility, getting them out back. I'll look at getting them out back. It will take a little bit of work to get the road ready out back, and that won't be until late spring, when it's dry enough to get back there. But I'll address that.
Okay.
If we give you a year to make that so you can put those vehicles out back, would that be acceptable?
Yes. I could do that 6 months. I could do that in 6
Well, if we
months
give
too.
you a year, we
me
give you a
and that
little
would be
more
good.
than that, don't we?
Yeah.
We give you a little more of a chance to be acceptable.
We can do that.
Okay.
Somebody's question?
Oh, yes.
Hi, David Hamilton. I live right across the street from Chris. First off, I just want to say, Chris, you've been a great neighbor to me. Appreciate, the friendliness. He's been really great since I moved in 2020. I personally haven't had an issue with the lights because my previous owner actually put up a fence at the front of our yard. Since then, I personally haven't had any problems there, but I could see if that fence wasn't there, that might be a problem. But to Chris's point, I do agree. Your lot is higher. You pulling out of there with a personal vehicle or that vehicle, it's gonna come in the front of my house. So, I mean, that's why I haven't really complained about it. I am looking to sell in the spring, so, take that with a grain of salt, but, to that extent, I could see someone else coming in and having a problem with that. I think addressing it by moving it out back, or even maybe a fence, just to help with, like, the trucks themselves, if that's more cost effective. I mean, I wanna be conscientious.
The fence is actually there. I have the materials, it just hasn't been put up.
Yeah, so, I mean, either way, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think just adjusting it rather than having to cause an issue where, potentially this business could not operate. I definitely don't want to see that happen, especially because he has been so supportive of at least me as an individual since moving in. But overall, yeah, I do agree, you know, adjusting the truck so that way the light doesn't come across the street, very helpful. I don't know that I've noticed a change in water, but I don't know what it's been like or what it looks like long term. And in terms of the light, I mean, I think addressing, you know, the post light would definitely be helpful. But it seems like that's gonna help address a lot of the concerns that I have personally. And especially if the trucks do get moved, there's a fence there that helps with the noise too, so, I think, you know, some adjustments do need to be made, but, not to my personal extent, more so to the community. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any more comments? Opposed or in favor?
May I ask one question of the
Sure.
last testator here? You mentioned noise?
Oh, I mean, it's a truck, it makes noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing beyond truck noise?
No, I mean, it's not like he's parking a semi in my driveway or pulling in to turn around or anything, like, it's
Mhm.
nothing like that. I mean, it's an engine, it's gonna make noise.
Okay.
It is gonna be louder than a car, but, you know, I mean, again, people are allowed to have businesses, I get that. So sometimes you just gotta play well and be happy with what you got.
We're trying to play well in the same sandbox, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so unless there's anybody with anything more to say, I'll close it and then open it up to discussion by the board. So,
I think we've gotta put some restrictions on it to make sure that this gets taken care of the right way.
I would agree, yeah. So what kind of restrictions do you want to put?
Well, he said that he's got the material to do the rest of the fence.
What would I have, there's some white fence panels, 6 foot high?
So if he's got those, we'll ask him to put those up and we'll give him a year to be able to put some gravel out back and be able to park his trucks out back.
I can do that.
Another restriction would be no electric vehicles in the yard, right?
I can do that.
I would like the condition of no damaged vehicles because of the opportunity for ground pollution, which would affect your well and yours and anybody else that's in the neighborhood. So if anything is a damaged vehicle.
It just means that I have to definitely take it up to the storage.
Take it to the yard.
And no, you don't want it sitting on the bed.
Correct.
Okay.
So in other words, it's okay to keep one on there that, you know, can't start or whatever,
Mhm.
right? But you're not gonna put a damaged vehicle, right? Okay,
And for now, temporarily, to head his vehicles in towards the back, or off to the side and not be heading them out so that the lights pop out into the road.
Yep.
Is that acceptable to you people?
Yeah. If it works, it is.
And I'll turn off the light at the street.
so any other restrictions?
How do we measure compliance with the restrictions in a year?
That's up to the board,
Okay.
the select board.
Yeah,
Right,
their problem.
right. We're not enforcing.
Right.
Okay, so let's, I will have the secretary now take the vote.
Can we read the
Oh, sure,
restrictions
sure.
first?
Yeah. Maybe Russ can.
Russ, can you
could-
read it back
yeah.
to us?
Russ
So
can-
I believe was to get a fence and gravel within a year
Out back of the house.
out back of the house for parking.
Park head in.
To park with the vehicles with the light parked, so they're not going out towards the neighbor. And no parking damaged vehicles overnight on the bed.
And
No
And
electric.
no
no
electrical
electric.
vehicles, period.
Right. We get them all?
I think so.
Do we have a motion?
Now, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So if Mr. Chesley sells, the next person does this go with him?
No.
Yes.
Doesn't it run with the land?
Yes, right, yes, for 2 years. In other words, if
For
somebody,
about 2 years?
For 2 years.
yeah, if, let's say Mr. Chesley sells the property, anybody who comes in there can continue the same business. But if he doesn't do that within 2 years, this is gone. You get it? No?
Yeah, it always used to be that if a person sold, the business went away.
No,
Okay.
no, he has 2 years. Anybody who gets it does exactly the same thing within, he has 2 years in which to continue it. And if he doesn't, he
With the
or she-
same restrictions.
Right,
Same
right,
restrictions.
yes. Otherwise, he'd have to come back to the board
Okay.
and present the whole thing all over again.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion, we accept it.
Second.
Okay. Marty Bender.
Let me back up a second.
Yeah.
Accept it with restrictions.
Yes. I'm in
We
favor.
ready?
Yes, I'm in favor.
In favor. Robert Drown.
In favor.
Barbara Corliss is in favor. Rob?
In favor.
No,
Oh,
No?
no, Rob's not here in this.
That's right. No.
No, it's D.
D, I'm sorry, I didn't get who was
No,
voting and
Robert's a
who's
full
not.
member.
What?
I'm a full member, yeah.
He's a full member.
Oh, okay.
Because he replaced a full member.
Oh, okay. I thought he was an alternate member.
Because the two alternates are Guy and Sue. Unless you were a full
No, I
member
thought Guy,
now.
no, Guy became a regular
When did he
member.
get appointed to be a full member?
No, it's just, I mean, for what I've been doing for the
Oh, okay.
Well, I
last,
don't need to be here tonight. Can I go home? Because I don't feel good at all.
I thought he was,
And I only came because Russell said I needed to come.
well,
If you don't need me, if you've got plenty.
I think, yeah, you can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, yeah.
So who's voting?
And I'm okay being whatever. I
so
just
if you
know.
want
No,
Guy to
it
be a
should
full
have
member,
been.
we can change
It
that.
should have been that Rob would be
Rob's
the
alternate.
latest alternate.
Okay, that's good.
Thanks.
Yeah. So generally, you work your way up.
Right, that makes
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
So who's
Except for
voting?
me, I was.
You stay on the
I was
top of the-
automatically.
You didn't have a choice,
Right.
yeah.
So for
guys
tonight,
vote.
who's voting?
Right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so Guy,
Yes, ma'am.
yes or no?
Yes.
In favor, and D,
Yes.
got it.
Okay.
And I'm going to say abstain for you.
Okay. Now that's it.
And Sue also was not here. She's
Yeah.
the alternate. Okay. Now, Rob, you can get down.
Now I can recuse myself.
Right.
Yes. So this is,
Okay, so anyway,
This one.
so there you go, you have it. Again, if somebody in opposition wants it, they have 30 days in which to file asking for a rehearing with some reasons.
And you gotta come back on Thursday for the site plan review with the planning.
Right, yeah, you're not all the way there, right. You still need to-
That's a 6:30?
That's 6:30 on Thursday. And you're first on the
That is
agenda.
this Thursday.
Yep. And they're gonna discuss things like the driveway and the fencing and all that as well, and signage.
And probably those unregistered
You said
vehicles.
the planning
Yeah,
board, right?
and the planning board. And I'm gonna make a bullet list for them to send out tomorrow morning with everything you guys decided. 'Cause I don't think I can have the minutes ready by then. It's a little quick even
Is
for me.
that here or down below?
It's gonna be right here again.
Okay. All right. Anything else for me?
And that's it.
All right, I will be here. Thank you all.
Okay,
Have a good night.
thanks.
Just check for $10,000.
No, that would be nice.
Okay, so,
Russ, you'll have to fix the website too.
shall we take,
As an alternate.
yes,
Yeah, I can fix that. That's not a problem.
okay.
okay, roll call. Marty
Okay.
Bender,
Present.
Robert Drown.
Present.
Barbara Corliss is here. Dee Blake. Here. And Guy LaRochelle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done.
And I surely should have done that the first time, but you should read the application. So,
The application. ZBA case 2401, the board will consider an application from Robert and Stephanie, I'm gonna mispronounce that name, Clegus, for a special exception to Article 5, Section 8 of the Webster zoning ordinance regarding a special exemption to the 50-foot setbacks for a detached garage. The property is located on map 11, lot 35 at 51 Clothespin Bridge Road in the residential agricultural zone.
Okay, and Rob, even though you already know how to do this, I will once again, go through the usual, which is, we start by by you're presenting to us exactly what it is that you want to do. We then hear from anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of your application. There's then a chance for anybody in rebuttal, a chance for you to rebut it, and then we of course will ask you questions all the time, and then we'll close it, and we'll open it up to discussion by the board, and of course, depending on whether it's in your favor or opposed, either one of you will have 30 days in which to ask for a hearing, and 30 days after that to file with the Superior Court. So, tell us exactly what it is that you want to do.
Sure. So the description is a little bit wrong on there. According to Article 4, Section 4A, I have 5.2 acres, so I'm subject to a 100-foot setback from a road.
Oh,
Whoops. That's what and I would like to build a storage shed, which is on the side of my property, which Garish Road basically is the property line on that side of the property. And I would like to request a special exception, Article 5, Section 8, to reduce that setback so I can move the storage shed closer to the road. And the main reason being it's a very flat area that's high ground on the property. The property has not a whole lot of great buildable area. Most of it slopes down to the river. I'm also obviously trying to conform to all the setbacks from the river, so I'm trying to keep it as far as I can away from the river, up on the hill. And essentially it's attached to the existing driveway, so there's no change to the driveway architecture of the property. It just sort of sits on the backside of the driveway would be the goal. And it's basically a 3-car detached garage for storage of various things, my tractor, a spot to work on stuff. And that's pretty much it.
So how far will your garage be from the house?
It's about 100 feet from the driveway side of the house to where it would be. It's kind of a flat driveway area up at the top in front of the house.
And so which way do you usually go into the garage? When you come in through Clothespin Bridge?
Yeah.
Or, not
Yeah,
yet.
we don't use the garage, but there's an old, I guess, there was all kinds of problems with that. Originally, when they built the property, they were gonna put a driveway to garage, but that was never approved, so there's an old sort of track out there that's muddy, and I have no intentions of using that, or Garish Road, which is nearly impassable most of the time. So we use the normal long driveway that I maintain, and it comes up from Clothespin Bridge to almost the back of the property, and then comes up a bit of a hill that we have at the back of the property, and then the house is sort of straight ahead. And this building, we'd like to build a little bit to the left side of the top of the driveway. So it's kind of looking at the house in front of it.
Have you owned this right along?
Year and a month.
Okay,
Aaron, 2 months.
because I thought that there was a different owner there
There was,
than you
yeah.
before.
Yeah, we bought it Halloween on 2022, and we moved in Christmas of, sorry, Halloween of, 22, moved in Christmas of 22.
So how old's the house?
2007?
Oh, okay, so it is relative.
It's
I was
relatively
gonna
new.
say 10 years old, but I don't look you up, wouldn't I?
And this is what we're looking at building. Just want to sort of see it.
What will you be storing in this?
So,
Is it gonna be used as a garage or storage?
it's a little bit of both. So,
Here, Barbara, you wanna look at that? That's what it's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
so I have a small tractor for snow removal and for maintaining of the gravel driveway.
This is what you're building?
Well, it's what I'd like to build. But,
Sweet.
there'd be room for the tractor. I have a little side-by-side utility vehicle, and the center area would be to just sort of work on stuff, because my hobby is kind of, messing around with.
Your hobby's what?
Messing around with my car,
Oh.
and things like that, like changing my own oil and, working on stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I did hear him say messing around.
Don't tell my wife.
It's a pretty building.
Oh,
It
thanks.
is nice.
Northwoods they're the ones that would build it out of Warner, if all goes to plan.
Well, I compliment you for trying to stay up away from the river and,
Oh, thanks.
and stuff like that. So I have seen some other places around town lately that people are building right next to the river, and they're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, and obviously it's dependent on the state application, which my surveyor said, didn't look like there was any problems. I'm about 220 feet from the river, so I'm just a hair inside the 250 feet that I have to permit it through the state. But I'm in that last 100 feet that they typically don't have too many problems with.
Well, and it's not a residence either, it's like,
And the other choice is, you move it down, sort of build it into the hill, and I'm still off the driveway, but then I'm closer to the river, and I'm built into the back of the hill, which is, I gotta do more contouring of the land, and I don't wanna remove any more trees that I have to, because I like that I can't see anybody. I don't intend to change that, and I don't think, I have one neighbor that'll be able to see this a little bit across Garish Road.
Carters?
Pardon?
The Carters? Or-
Yeah, no, Jason actually can't see it. I think I still have almost 100 feet of woods to him. It'll be James and Rachel across Garish Road on the backside, because they can kind of see just in that little bit of an area there. I'll still have, obviously, whatever trees we can keep between Garish and the building, the 25 feet or so of trees.
You gonna have any utilities in the building? You're gonna heat it? You're gonna?
Yeah, the plan is to power.
Power
and
water?
I'll have cold water, and I'll heat the center section, just to be able to work in it in the winter. Maybe keep the tractor warm.
Which way is your driveway, off Clothespin Bridge or off Garrish Road?
It's off Clothespin Bridge.
Pardon?
It's off Clothespin
Oh,
Bridge.
okay.
The long way.
Yeah, the long way.
It's the next one past Mike's.
I'm sorry, what?
It's the next driveway after Mike.
Oh, okay.
It's just a red mailbox, and nobody knows I live there. You can't see
Yep, that's
anything
true.
from Clothespin Bridge Road, which is nice.
I just saw a road there, and it's like road to nowhere. You can't see a house at the end.
It's the 800 feet of driveway.
But you were living there a couple of years ago, though.
No, it's just 1 year.
Yeah, you've been just here a year.
Yeah. Grew up in a dairy farm, so I'm happy to be back in the country.
I have,
Pardon?
I have.
All right, so you're not gonna put a driveway back to Garrish Road
No.
then?
You're gonna heat it with propane or oil or?
I'm actually thinking of doing a mini split. What do they call that?
I know it's tough.
The new thing that, it just reverses the
Air
it
conditioning.
reverses the air conditioning and makes heat. So I'm thinking of doing it that way with electric. because I just want to keep it at like 40 unless I'm in there and they heat up real quick. So it would just be electric, and we'll pull water from the house, from the same well. And the power pole actually comes in from Garrish, so it's actually closer to that than it is my house for power.
You gonna have a bathroom in there?
Concrete floor.
Yep. And I'm gonna put on a knee wall, concrete floor. I don't like slabs. And it's just gonna be stick framed. Probably like a steel roof. It will look, it's very similar to that siding wise, and actually color wise too. The goal.
You gonna have lighting outside the building?
Probably like you see here, just a couple of sconces on the
Front.
front side, which is facing my house.
Not enough to bother the neighbors with.
Hopefully
Have
not.
big spotlights pointing at all the neighbors.
Try to aim them at as many people as I can. I don't think I could, actually. I might be able to get something across the river and bother someone if I try
Put
hard.
them down toward the river and you can go fishing.
There you go.
It's when they bounce off the clouds, they illuminate the whole area. Yeah, just
I'm with you.
motion sensor.
I like seeing the
lights.
stars at night. Yeah, I'm happy being out there in the dark.
Yeah, me too. I like to see the satellites going overhead. It used to be shooting stars, now it's satellites.
The odd plane or helicopter. More than I thought, actually.
Yeah, there are
Here.
a lot.
Yeah.
So is it 40 or 50 feet from Garrish? We've got 40 to 50.
Yeah, that's what, when I put the original in, I think the exception's down to 25. I don't know if there's a specific number, but,
So it's not any closer than 25.
yeah, I'll keep it obviously more than 25. We're trying to figure out where it fits the best on top of the hill without falling off the side.
Is the land where you're proposing to put it pretty flat?
Yeah.
So if we made a requirement of 50 feet, you could do it
50 feet would get me like into the hill.
into the hill?
Yeah, I think, so.
Okay.
Ideally, if I could keep it like in the, like 30-ish foot range. Actually, help me with that. Is the distance measured from the center of the road or the property line when it's a road?
It's measured from the edge, it's in the ordinance, it says from the edge of the road.
Okay. So yeah, if I had the 25 feet from the edge, I think would be ideal. My goal is to keep it as far away as I can. I just, and still not have to dig into and fill a lot of the side of the hill. That would be the goal.
Well, it's a long way from the river. That's one of the concerns.
Yeah, we're a big concern.
Well,
Unless it comes up
200
like
feet.
California and washes it out.
Good.
I was just reading something today. I think it said 1936. All the covered bridges got washed out on Clothespin on the Blackwater except
Yes.
one. And I was
Yep.
like, I'm pretty high.
36 or 30 and 38. There was 2 hurricanes.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, I went the really high ground.
Yes, please.
Which one wasn't?
That was before the dam was there, though.
Was it?
Oh, yes, that makes a
There
big
was
difference.
2 years pretty close together. One was
36
There was
and 38.
36 was a flood.
yeah, and then there was a hurricane a few
38
years
was
later.
hurricane.
Yeah.
All right.
But the dam was not there. The dam has saved us
Yeah.
plenty.
The dam went in 41.
I'd be on the same height as my house. I think I'm probably 40 feet above the river right now to the basement of my house, and then another 10 feet up to the top. So I'm almost 50 feet higher than the river, I think. So.
Well, I think the dam would have to break before
Yeah, I
you
should
should
go
go
that
up
right.
40 feet. Yeah.
There was a couple of years ago, I remember, Marty, remember that? They were worried about the dam, the water going over the dam, that's how bad it was. So it was like,
That was
it
Mother's
was
Day.
the biggest thing to see, is everybody parking to go look and see how much water was behind that
It
dam,
was-
and it was scary.
It was
think
right
yeah.
up to the edge.
Yeah, it was right up, you
Right.
got that right.
It was,
05, 2005,
What?
was it 5?
5 or 6, Mother's Day flood.
It was the Mother's Day
Yeah, I think it was
flood.
5 or 6.
Actually, you can, all you have to do is you have to count back for Pillsbury Lake. when their dam was wrecked.
That was
Yeah, right.
06,
Right.
wasn't it?
Well, we just
No, it was
heard,
04
we just
because
heard it,
they're-
whoever was here for the budget hearing.
I think they said 04 because they're paying off the dam in 24.
No.
No, it's 26.
No, 26.
26.
26,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, so it probably
Okay,
was
then
2006 when we had the, yeah.
That's scary.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't get
it sure
back here in
was.
October.
Yeah.
Certainly scary.
Somebody told me this when I bought the place on the water.
Okay, so, any further questions? Okay. Did you?
No.
Oh, I thought Bob.
No, I said I don't have any.
Okay, so then I'll open it up to hear from anybody who wishes to speak in favor. Anybody wishes to speak in opposition? Okay, then I'll close it, open it up to discussion by the board. This, of course, is our usual ones that are, I think that over the 41 years, I think we have turned down maybe one or two special exceptions, especially some, this, we have never denied a garage. That was a little bit closer than, you know, 50 feet, you know, so anyway. And I don't hear any reason not to, as usual.
I'm seeing that he meets all the criteria, so
I think he's gone overboard.
there's no legal
Just
reason
try
to
to
say
meet
no.
it.
And Jason's excited to come use it, so.
Jason Connor. You gonna do your heat for you?
Pardon? He might, yeah.
Heat for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did the heat in my house.
Did he?
So, if there's, can I have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Actually, no, I would like to put a condition on that.
Well, we can do that anyway.
We haven't put how many feet from the edge of Garish. So do we want to say 40? Do we want to say 25?
He said 25 is better for
I'd
him.
like 25.
I would say 25, because if you go up to 25, you're still within a special exception,
Yes.
you know, so, and I would say between 25 and 50 is the perfect need for an exception.
Got it.
So,
Bobby, go ahead with the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept it, that we grant him the motion with the 25 to 50 foot restriction.
Second.
Setback. Okay. Motion and second, ready?
second?
Second it, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you want to line it, okay?
What?
I seconded it.
No, I
Okay.
didn't, no, I just,
Okay.
I never second.
Oh, okay.
She's got a lot of practice seconding.
What was
She's got
that?
a lot of practice doing seconds for the select board.
Okay, Marty, in favor or against?
Yes.
In favor. Robert Drown.
In favor.
Barbara Corliss is in favor. You
He's in
recused, D is in favor.
In flavor, yeah.
In flavor. And Guy,
Got carried.
Yes.
yes,
Good.
motion passes.
Okay,
Thank you, folks.
all right.
All right, I'm back.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, so, yes. Join us again.
Yeah, don't run out of here.
Okay.
No, I'll stay.
So, let's get on to the third hearing.
Do I need to take attendance again for this one?
Yes.
Okay. Marty Bender, are you here?
Yes.
Robert Drown.
Those are the plans,
President.
if anybody wants a plan.
Barbara Corliss is here. Rob?
Present.
D?
Yes, here.
Guy?
Yes, President.
Done.
Okay, and can you read the application?
Yes.
I tried to split them off with little spoons.
Do I pronounce that Zacchio? Public hearing for ZBA case number 24-02. The board will consider an application from Dominic and Betsy Zacchio, forgive me if I say that wrong, for a special exception to Article 5, Section 6, and a variance to Article 4, Section 2 of the Webster zoning ordinance regarding building a seasonal camp. The property is located on map 6, lot 100, on Frost Lane in the residential/agricultural zone.
And there's another.
There's another?
Well, because they're, yes, first they're asking for the special exception for the seasonal dwelling. But now you have to also read about the variance that they're asking for.
That's in this, isn't that it? Variance to Article 4,
Oh,
Section 2?
Okay, I thought,
You were only half listening to me.
okay, no, I thought, yeah, okay, sorry.
I think I got it.
Okay,
I think
you got it, okay, yeah. All right, so, and I understand you're standing in for the,
For the applicant?
yeah,
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
My name is George Fredette with SFC Engineering Partnership. Mr. Chair, you want me to begin?
yes. Actually, let me go through, once again, I'll just. read-
I heard you earlier, but I
Yes,
understand.
yeah, I know you've heard, actually, does anybody come here after I have already told everybody what you have to do? Right, no, you're here, okay, let's just go. Yeah. Right,
We'll go over the formalities.
right, yeah,
I am here to represent Nick and Betsy Zacchio, who are just proposing to build a seasonal dwelling on a 21-acre lot right here. Now, I wanted to begin by looking at this image up here that's in the top left-hand corner of the plan. The parcel that we're talking about is 21.5 acres. It's within the residential agricultural zone. It does exist right along the Black River. And it's not affected by the floodplain, however. The floodplain is just restricted, just right adjacent to the Black River right there. The terrain on the site is generally moderate to steep. In the development area, it's a little flatter, a little more modest. There are boulders and ledge that we have found throughout the site, but the soils are suitable in this area for DES and subsurface. The current configuration, so this is the development area, this is the lot that we're talking about. But I want to take you back in a little bit of history. The configuration of the lot that we're talking about, I'm sorry, we're down here. We're down here, and I'm pointing to an area right here where that seasonal dwelling would be built. So it's on this lot. This subdivision plan is from 1973. It was signed by the planning board on March 15th of that year. And then, so this is a private road that was approved by the planning board in 73. In 2018, oh, I'm sorry, this is the rest of that plan. Here's that lot. It has a match line on it, with this being the match line. So this is part of that 73 plan that was approved. And then fast forward to 2018. Again, this is the area where we're looking to develop. And here's the private road coming down. As the neighbor's lot was developed, there's a home right here. And the existing trail or access road came along this way. That was formalized with this plan that's recorded at the registry in 2018. So what we have, go back here now, oops. Is the 21 acres, and this piece of it, 350 by 350, is out of current use. The balance of it is in current use. So this is where we want to develop the seasonal dwelling. And currently, right here, there's a camper and a fire pit. There's no documentation that we can reference, but it has been used is a camping site for some time. So what I'm here for, the Zacchios are looking to build a seasonal dwelling. This represents a seasonal dwelling measuring 24 by 32. That's less than 800 square feet. It's going to conform to all of the setbacks. In addition to approvals from this board, we will be looking to New Hampshire DES for shoreline protection or permit, because we're within the 250 feet. There's a 50-foot buffer that I'm sure that you folks are aware of, that there'll be no tree cutting there. And of course, we'll also have to get a septic system approval. That's the background of what we're doing. Now what we're here for is, just as you said, looking for a special exception and for a variance. Mr. Chair, if I may proceed with the arguments for a special exception.
Sure.
I'm gonna start there because, as you said, the odds are with me. You've only denied 1 or 2 in 41 years.
Well, that's on the special exception, yes.
Yeah, so
Variances are
I'm
different.
gonna go with my best bet here.
Okay.
The conditions for a special exception for a seasonal dwelling is it shall be only used for recreational purposes. That's the intent. That's how they use the site now. As I said, it's been used for camping. It's just seasonal during the summertime. It'll be inhabited no more than 90 days in the calendar year, and it certainly won't. It's only limited to summertime use. And it'll comply with all the setbacks. I just explained that it would. And it'll meet all relevant life safety and sanitary codes. Our next step, after stopping here, if we're successful, is to seek a construction permit from DES for the septic system. And the permit will only be, shall only be issued to the owner of the lot. Don and Betsy, or Nick and Betsy Zacchio own the lot, and that's who I'm here representing. That's who wants the permit. That outlines the criteria for the special permit request. Mr. Chair, would you like me to continue, or do you want to act on that first?
No, let's do them all together.
Okay.
Let's keep going with the variance also.
Okay, so on the variance, as it's described in the notice, there's 2 articles. Article 4, Section 2, which says that each lot shall have a minimum of 250 foot of frontage on the road or highway that serves it. And the second part of it, I don't know if we need it, but it's Article 4, Section 6, that states, no building or residence may be located anywhere in either district unless it meets all of the area and yard requirements in the district. Now, I don't interpret area and yard requirements as meaning frontage, but we certainly are meeting what I understand to be area, 21 acres, and we're meeting all the setbacks. Perhaps you guys can deliberate on that in your, when you do that at the end, but we have to, just to cover ourselves, don't know if we need that. So, pursuant to the variance, there'll be no diminution value of the surrounding properties because the property is going to continue to be used the way it is today as a camp, a summer camp, and just there'll be a structure there now to bring a little more civility to it with a septic system and an on-site well. Granting the permit would be a benefit to the public interest. Well, in the public interest, it'll certainly increase the tax value, tax base in Webster. Again, it's only going to continue to be used the way it is with a more formal structure. Denial of the permit would result in an unnecessary hardship to the owner seeking it. We're only seeking this limited use, just for a seasonal camp, putting up a structure, and denial would just deny the upgrade of that structure. Upgrade of the use, I should say, where it's a camper now, we'll turn that into a small building. And by granting the permit, substantial justice would be done, because it'll allow the landowner and the developer to enjoy the quiet of Black River and enjoy the surroundings on that lot. And the use must not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance. Certainly because if the proposed use is a seasonal dwelling, and if that's, if the special exception is granted, that's certainly within the spirit of the ordinance. And then we argue that because the road was created, or the right-of-way was created in 1974 or 1973, and it's used that way up to a point on the neighbor's driveway, on the neighbor's yard, and this exists, and it was formalized with an easement, that it would be within the spirit of the ordinance to allow that to continue. Again, this is used today, has been used for a long time, and we're putting a structure there now. Mr. Chair, if there's anything I can add to that, or any questions I can ask, I'd be happy to do so.
Okay.
I'd like to make note that it's the Blackwater River, not the Black River.
Oh, my bad. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
How far is this structure from the Schwaziak property?
About 100 feet.
About 100 feet?
Yeah. From the shores of the river, you said?
No. From where the last house
Oh.
on that road is.
Oh, my.
How far is this property from there?
Oh, my bad.
Bob,
Yeah,
you asking from the house to their property?
to where they want to put this structure.
Oh,
250? More than 500 feet.
350 maybe.
Okay.
300 to 350.
No, wrong. More than 500.
500?
Yeah.
And so how far is it from the lot line?
How far is it from the lot line?
Yeah.
More than 100 feet.
I'm sorry.
Almost
How long?
150, it looks like.
More than 100 feet.
More than 100 feet.
Okay.
You see a 50-foot setback
From the lot
there?
line to the proposed house is more than 100 feet. Okay.
60.
Now that-
I'm measuring about 125 feet.
That
To the
trail
lot line.
that you were talking about,
I'm sorry?
the trail you were talking about?
Yeah,
Along
right.
the edge of the river?
Nope. Well, yeah, okay, along the edge of the river.
Well, there's a trail that goes down through there that is known, or was known when I was a little boy, as the Scribner Rangeway. Now, are you interfering with that rangeway at all?
I don't know where the rangeway is that you're talking about.
Well,
but we're
if you went straight through that road and came out on the other end on Tyler Road, and you came in that way, that's the rangeway.
Are you talking about on this end of the property?
How far is it from that structure to Tyler Road?
To Tyler Road. You've got me stuck on that one.
Yeah.
At least 3/4 of a mile out.
3/4 of a mile?
At least,
Okay.
yeah. If I may, The rangeway you're talking about, I think, ends at the far western end of their property.
Can I get your name?
I'm sorry, Jack Schwaziak, Cross Lane.
Joshua.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so, yeah. The stone wall that defines the western end of their property on the Tyler Road end, I believe is the end of the physical rangeway.
Okay.
And then it goes to just a goat path trail.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Because there was a guy by the name of Murphy years ago that wanted to go in there and put some structures in there, and the town wouldn't let him. And hey, that was in my younger day, when I was under 5. And so I don't know what the ramifications of that was. But I just was curious as to the differentials, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and their property is just strictly a walking path. There's no evidence of the old road.
The old road is, I think, Abby's property now, and then going up to Chris Shadler's on the other end of the Tyler Road end.
Well, see, that rangeway would have gone clear to the end of Shadler's property.
Right. There's still evidence of it there, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask, is the access to the proposed dwelling, right? Is the access right through to the
Does it continue
easement
through?
that the Schwaziaks have?
Yes.
Right,
It's
okay.
through the easement across the Schwaziak's property.
And you're just
and
gonna
extending into-
extend that, right?
Well, yeah, it's already there, but, correct.
What kind of condition is that easement, sorry?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Exactly.
What condition is that easement in, the road?
Yeah, the
Well,
road.
it's travelable.
Well, you've gotta put it to town regulations for fire trucks, which I believe
No, because this is a private road.
Emmett told me he's gotta put it there. I talked to Emmett. Emmett told me he's gotta put it there.
I'm sorry, how to put what there?
For a price.
They've gotta put the road to a foot of bank run gravel and 6 inches across. 12, and it's gonna be 12 to 16 feet wide
The fire truck.
for the fire trucks, and you've gotta have a turnout every 150 feet. That's why I asked him how far it was from Swaziak. That's what Emmett told me. I talked to them the other day.
It certainly has to be capable of supporting emergency vehicles. And so if we don't have any upgrade shown here, but it would certainly have to be like that to earn a building permit.
I would say if we grant this, we put a stipulation in there that it must be up to fire department requirements for road.
Perfect.
Okay.
Abby Rockefeller's land's on the other side of this. Is that in current use?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this will be the end of the road.
Yes, yeah.
The road can't go any further, right? This is the last property.
It's not proposed to go any further. Can it go further? I suppose someday it could, but
21
that's not part of
acres,
the
I guess,
proposal.
you could do it.
Yeah, they could bust it out. Somebody
Why
could.
would you?
Right.
Well, I don't know why would you, but
I wouldn't, but
Well, but
we
that's-
wouldn't.
Right, I mean, for one thing, that would require to be subdividing
Yeah.
21 acres.
Yeah.
No.
You don't
Yeah,
think,
but
but you
50
have to
years
look
from
in the
now,
future, you know, we've never
Right.
thought of the stuff that's going on today.
Right.
That is not the proposal, so noted.
Yes. And obviously, they'll have to go through a whole lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So,
Okay. So the DES requirements are beyond the 50-foot waterfront buffer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are well beyond that?
Yeah, we're 100
You're almost
feet
at the
over.
150?
Right. That's,
Your septic
That's a
system is
shoreline.
beyond that. Thank you for this good map, though. Really, I appreciate this.
Well, the
You
guy
usually
that-
don't get treated with something this detailed.
well, the guy that put it together is sitting over there. We'll congratulate him.
Thank you.
Where's the nearest utility pole, power?
Oh, good question.
Over here?
What was that?
Utilities.
They're gonna extend that?
No, sir.
No?
No, they're gonna be off the grid,
Off the
no
grid.
solar.
But you are putting in septic and a well.
Correct.
You might also advise them if they're gonna have an outside fire, they've gotta have a permit.
Okay.
Unless they wanna spend 2 years in jail and have a $150,000 fine.
I'll so advise them.
I happen to write them, that's why I know that.
I'm sorry, could you give me the dimensions of the building again?
24 by, wait a minute. 24 by 32,
24 by
It's
32.
just under 800 square feet,
768 square
which you need
feet.
for a.
How many?
Yeah, I'm just reading
768.
that, just
I thought
making
that's
sure
what you
we're,
said.
we're following the rules.
Always makes it easier when we follow the rules.
It's a lot easier than breaking them.
It is, it is.
A lot less expensive, too.
Because you can end up in jail for 2 years and
Relevant life safety and sanitary codes. What's the relevant life safety and sanitary codes, aside from the getting the fire truck down the road? Is there anything else?
Fire department's gonna have to check it for life safety codes.
So one of our conditions?
Oh, yeah, that's a standard.
It's part of the building permit, we're not inspection.
So we don't have to state it, because they're gonna do it with building.
Yeah, they're gonna have to file for a building permit for that.
Thank you. Okay, I'm okay with that. Now, next one's 4 and 2.
Now you say 90 days. What are you saying, April 1st till June 1st?
Oh, the
The-
seasonal.
the date?
The seasonal
Huh?
requirement.
I didn't specify the dates, but it's intended to be used in summer, warm winter month, warm
Okay,
months.
I just said, you said 90 days, and I didn't know if you were looking at a specified, time.
It's the criteria for the special exception says it shall be inhabited no more than 90 days in a calendar year, not necessarily 90 consecutive days.
Okay, I didn't know if they were looking for more days than
Nope.
that, that's all.
Nope, we're following the rules.
Now, what about snow removal in the winter for fire trucks to get in?
If it's used, then that would be part of it, but it's not intended to be used in the wintertime.
So, in other words, if it burns, the fire department's not going.
If it catches on fire in winter,
Jack,
They don't need a fire permit in the winter.
Marty?
they'll need a fire.
Jack?
Yeah.
It's a good job.
We pay, it's private road, so we pay for snow removal anyways. So, as far as the fire trucks, if we decide not to plow, that becomes an issue. So, I take care of the snow blowing on my property, because we're at the end of the road there. So I don't know that it would be an applicable issue as far as requiring them to plow beyond that.
I don't think there would be. I think
Right,
it's up,
because
it's up to
private
them.
road.
If they want to plow it, the extra 100 feet or 150 feet, whatever.
Exactly.
And if they don't, that's fine.
That's what I was
They
getting
take their
at.
chances.
The other issue, this may not be applicable, but if I may, Bobby, you talked about talking to Emmett.
Yeah.
The entire Frost Lane is not acceptable as far as fire trucks. So as far as penalizing these folks,
But
to
you-
improve, you don't have line of sight over that hill there, you don't have turnarounds, you don't have the width and things like that. So my point being, I don't know, I don't think that they should be penalized to improve the road to meet standards where the rest of the road does not meet standards.
It is a private road.
Oh, that's what Emmett told me.
It's a different category.
It's like the same one we had at Pillsbury Lake a little while ago. They wanted to do basically the same thing, and we told them that they had to put the road up
That was different because that road was gonna be improved.
It was the road out through the woods.
This was, we're talking about the woman?
No, the
Okay.
guy up in on, the Dingle Circle there, I can't tell you what.
Brookfield Circle, I remember.
Huh?
Brookfield Circle.
The guy that never came
Yes.
back.
And we told him he was gonna have to put a
No, we did
photograph.
not tell
We did
him.
not.
We did not tell him.
No, we did not. He didn't
Right.
come back.
And besides, right, he never came back, so that's still an open issue. But anyway,
Well,
no,
I-
I don't believe that you can require somebody on a private road. If you're on a private road, as far as I'm concerned, you take your chances. If, and you have to, and they will also have to file with the Merrimack County Registry of Deeds, something that says in there that they do not accept, they don't expect the town of Webster to maintain, the ability to bring an ambulance, fire truck, or the police, down the road. They take their chances. That's why it's a private road.
That's why I said the fire department wouldn't respond.
That's right, right.
If it was,
All right, and you take your chances. If you want to build on a private road or a Class 6 road, right, you will have to file with, and it's under the statute.
Yeah, it releases liability
Yep.
from the
Right.
town on the deed forever.
But we have turned it down. You remember that, was it the hill up on Little Hill?
I know, Guy Board Hill, yes.
Guide Board Hill.
Yes, right, right. And
Because it was a Class 6 road. How
Yes.
different is that from a private road?
It isn't, and.
So are we now
and
going to allow people to build on
No.
Class 6?
Actually,
This is a different status of a private road too. This is
Right.
It's
a
a-
planning board approved private road, which means when the planning board approved it, it gets permission to have building permit.
And Guide Board Hill was not a planning board approved road?
It's not.
no.
No.
That's a Corps of Engineer road.
And
It didn't predate zoning?
It predated zoning, but it was
Yeah.
never approved by the town, and it was not approved by the planning board, so it's not in that category.
So this particular
Totally
road is
separate
a
category.
special exception all by itself?
Correct, it's its own category.
Gotcha. Okay. Different kettle of fish.
Different, yep.
Better not be
So
perk, I don't like perk.
Basically, the variance issue is zero frontage, right?
yes, right, and, well, let's keep hearing
Sorry, yes.
before we make a decision, okay? So, any more questions from the board? No? Okay. So, let's hear from anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the application. Yes, Jack?
Jack Jawaziak, my wife Jean, we're the abutting property owners, obviously, has been discussed. We certainly look forward to having these folks as neighbors. We do not oppose, any aspect of this project. We bought the property back years ago, knowing that it could be developed because of the right-of-way, and we're glad that these folks were the ones that bought it. They're stewards of the land, we've gotten to know them, and Ryan Frost is the general contractor on the property. And knowing that it'll be done right, we've seen their plans, we've talked to them as far as what they want to do, and being off the grid, but, everything that they've done, they're doing it right, and we certainly look forward to having them as neighbors and encourage this approval if possible.
Anybody else wish to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, last chance. Okay, then I'll open up to the board. All right. So first I think we should deal with the special exception, the seasonal dwelling.
Article 5, Section 6, right?
Right. And it seems to me that they meet in all the qualifications for that. I don't have any problem at all with just granting them, the 90-day, the special exception. I just can't see any reason not to grant them that.
I would agree. I see nothing in
Anybody have
law
any
that's.
comments about the seasonal dwelling? I mean, it seems to me that's gonna be really fancy seasonal dwelling. Much more than mostly what we had. And it should be, of course, it's great, because it's only used for 90 days, and it obviously raises our tax base. they can't have any kids there going to school, right? So it's perfect for the town. That, again, that's just the seasonal dwelling. So,
So if they wanna change that, they'll have to come back to the town and ask for,
oh, you mean to make it a permanent?
Permanent, yeah.
Right, oh, well, for one thing, it's less than 800 square feet. They'd have to, and they definitely have to come back here. Definitely,
okay, as long as we're clear about that.
yeah. I mean, because.
It's gonna be a nice house.
Yeah,
It'll be easier, very easily transformed,
right, but they can't do it without coming back. And they'd have to go through the whole thing again. And they have to go before the planning board, they have to go before the ZBA.
Seems like all of Pillsbury Lake was that.
Well, Pillsbury Lake is separate. Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah, so, did you say something?
No, I said Pillsbury Lake is its own
Right,
can of worms.
right,
I'm
yes.
sorry, couldn't hear you.
It's its own can of worms.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
More worms. No more worms.
My question is the DES permit, do we have to make that a condition, or it's just
What?
a given?
The seasonal
They're
dwelling?
well and septic.
I think DES is a given.
Well, the
Yeah, well,
shoreline
it must be, but
generally should be a condition.
we don't, do we need to make it a condition? That's my question. It's gonna be a given that
Recommend it,
we,
because if they can't get the shoreline,
it's
there's no point in
automatic.
giving it.
Just put it in any, you know.
Yeah, you put it in
Yeah, right,
anyway, because
yes.
they need to get it to do anything anyway.
okay, and we'll make that a condition.
Yeah.
Is that the right language for that? They meet DES requirements, or
Right, you
Yeah.
just
must have permit?
must have DES, appropriate DES permitting.
Okay, got it.
Russell,
No,
you know.
no future subdivision?
What was
I
that?
don't think we can, I don't think we can decide that.
That's a different day.
Yeah, really, it's totally, this is simply on the idea of their putting up a seasonal dwelling. I mean, if they decided at some point that they wanted to make this into, you know, let's say, 10 2-acre lots, they need to come back before the planning board and probably come before us also. So I wouldn't worry about that now.
Okay.
So, any other comments
Well,
on the?
Is this only the
Well, I'm
first?
just, I think we should separate them.
Okay,
Okay.
got it, thank you.
My only comment is, if I'm allowed to comment,
Sure.
I don't think we can have this special exception without the variance, because you need the variance in order
Well,
to have the building.
Right. I just wanted to get rid of the
Easy
easy
one, I get it,
Right,
I get it.
yeah, so so we can just vote right now on the seasonal dwelling. Right, it still doesn't matter, because, right, unless we grant the variance, they're not getting the seasonal dwelling.
Right.
Right. Unless they moved it someplace, you know, like, moved it up and put it into another lot, but anyway.
Do we have to vote on it then? I mean, can we just
Well, I don't know.
lump them together?
Okay,
and vote on
okay, we
everything?
can, yes, okay, all right.
If one's
So-
conditioned on the other?
Okay, so let's get started then on the variance. I would point out, you know, has anybody, I mean, I saw Russ gave us a really nice packet of stuff to read. Did anybody happen to read it?
I did, but it was last month.
Sorry, you did too much homework.
Can you give us a refresher course?
Yeah.
That was last month.
And I'll tell you, you know, I mean, I know most of the stuff that was in there, you know, because I've been dealing with this stuff, you know, for many years. But what actually I was looking at, where I had highlighted, as you can see, you know. What?
Said I'm looking for my highlights.
What chapter and verse are you?
Well, actually, okay, and this is where you, in fact, you were mentioning this before. Okay, so we're looking at 674-41.
41.
Okay. And does anybody else have their, oh,
It's page
Actually-
441 if you have.
actually,
I left mine
Here's-
over there,
yeah,
so
here.
pass it around.
here, pass that to you.
It's one of those two blue sticky notes.
Yeah.
I think it's the, no, you guys can use it. I don't need it.
And this basically is, this is sort of what the state made it into a catch-all. And if you read 674-41, and then you look at Roman numeral 2, which is, and I'm trying to remember, is that, when did they put that in? Oh, well, I don't know.
2005?
No. Then anyway, that was, what that is the legislature is saying, you know, yeah, we know there's no road there, when there's all these problems with it, however, if you can find this, for, as they say, for, entail practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship, right? And that's the key, you know, this unnecessary hardship. And that's why they want a ZBA, you know, which makes those decisions. And, you know, my experience has been, as long as there's something good that comes out of this, and again, you know, you have to go through the five qualifications, you know, like he described them, and he told us what their position is. Basically, if you feel that if it's an unnecessary hardship, if there's any good reason to say, gee, you know, why should we not have a seasonal dwelling there, you know? Then you can just basically say, yeah, you know, this is why I feel there should be. You look like you're dubious.
Well, no,
Russ.
there was one thing I wanted to point
Oh,
out.
sure,
that I forgot
sure,
to
go
point
ahead.
out. Well, the thing that's tricky about this subdivision that the planning board did is that it was 1 year before the town adopted its first zoning ordinance. So the planning board approved it before there was a zoning ordinance.
Yes.
So there were no requirements when the planning board adopted this plan.
Mhm.
There were no lot yard requirements, there was no frontage requirements, there
Right.
was nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that factors into this discussion, because
okay.
usually we grandfather a lot in based on the frontage requirements of when it was adopted.
Right, except I looked at that and I thought, you know, yeah, I could see that because of the road, but there never was any road. I mean,
Right,
they
that's
didn't
my
even
other
draw
part.
a road into this, right? In other words, if, let's say, the Schwaziaks did not have a road there.
Right, that was my thing, because the road ended right at the lot.
Right, at the end, yes, right. So if there was no road for the Schwaziak, Jack, did you build the house there, or did you move into a house?
No, I moved in, Gary Helsborough built it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so you didn't, okay. But let's say they hadn't, and there was no road there. Then, of course, then we would say, oh, wow, you know, it shows on the map, but there wasn't any
Yeah, it's a
road
paper
there.
road.
And so that was a paper road, right? Sort of like what we remember we were having our
Before.
debate,
Yeah,
right? But in this case, clearly, there wasn't any road there, period, right? Because the way they had drawn this, they showed, no, it ended here on this lot at this 21.5 acres. And they were saying, you know, they had no road to it. So it wasn't a paper road.
Yeah.
So that's why I looked at this and I thought, it's still, the question is unnecessary hardship. And so anyway, that's why I believe that they qualify, you know, again, when you look at these 5 qualifications that they have to go through to get a variance, right? 4 of them are easy, right? 4 of them, almost all the time, if you're gonna grant them, you have no problem at all finding. It's actually, the hardest one is number 3, which is the one which the ones that calls for an unnecessary hardship. And that's what you have to decide. Again, everything else fits in either if you're gonna say absolutely no to all of them, then you just say no, no, no. But for this one, it's always, again, decision of going through this unnecessary hardship. And of course, we have to discuss why there's an unnecessary hardship. So now I've spoken my head off. Let's hear it from somebody else.
I keep going back to the 0 frontage, the 0, we do have a requirement for 250 feet of road frontage. This says none.
Right.
0.
Right, and we've had plenty of those, where we've had to deal with them, where there wasn't 250 feet of frontage.
And we turned them down.
Where, well, you might, if there was some reason to turn them down. I can't see any reason not to turn them down in this case. I think this is for, like he was saying, first of all, they're gonna put a nice dwelling there. It's only gonna be a seasonal dwelling, so it's only there for 90 days a year. There's absolutely no requirement of the town having to do anything for the road or any other reason, right? There's no hardship for the town. And I think it would be an unnecessary hardship for them. They purchased 21.5 acres, and it's a nice piece of property.
I know, it would be a hardship for them, for sure. But what about the future of the town? We've got, can you tell me if Rockefeller's land is in current use?
Yeah, I think it all
Yeah,
is.
what does that have to do with?
Oh, no, a lot of hers is not, so.
Well, obviously, she
Really?
has a house there, right?
So they
that's
could
not-
extend Frost Lane and keep on going, right? So do we need to be concerned about what the future may bring? 250 feet of road frontage. 250 feet. That's the law.
Why?
I know, I'm doing the same thing. Why?
If anybody wanted to change it, like I just said, if they decided, let's say, in 20 years, boy, we want to make this into 21 acre lots, right? Well, obviously, they'll be dealing with the future planning board and ZBA.
And the future
Right.
requirements.
Yeah, it's,
Sure.
right, right, there's no way we can know what's gonna happen in the future, right? But for now, I would say, we're just talking about a seasonal dwelling.
I believe legally we can't make a decision based on
Right.
any future use.
Yeah.
They have to come back and ask for
Yeah.
that, right?
You have to be mindful,
Yeah,
just the
of
same.
course, yeah.
Not to cause a problem.
Right. The rest of Frost Lane has the same non-frontage, no frontage issue, right?
Right.
Almost every property that was on Frost Lane.
Right, because there is,
Because
because it's all private road.
Yeah, it's all, yeah, from Clothespin Bridge.
Right.
So it just has to be based on town policy, whether you allow building permits with
And,
that
well, of
frontage
course,
requirement.
and since this was laid out
Yep.
in 73,
Right.
before,
It, yeah, it conformed with what was required then, which apparently was nothing.
right, right.
But it did
Mhm.
conform.
Okay.
I can see you two guys are still thinking.
What two guys, can you?
I was looking at you two guys. I thought you were thinking.
Just listening to the discussion. It's a private road, private development. It's not a public road. There's no plan of making it a public road.
Not today.
Can't,
So you telling me,
we can't rub our crystal ball and say,
Yeah, right.
And if at
it's a
some
private
point,
road.
if at some point, all of the people who live on Frost Lane wanted to make it into a public road, well, first of all, obviously the town would have to
They
accept
would
it.
have to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And presumably the town would say, nope, not until you're gonna pay for the cost. which
Yeah,
is
right.
Read up the
obviously-
code.
Right,
Cost prohibitive.
right.
Or
Yes.
someone would have to buy the whole,
No,
all
buy
the
it,
properties on
upgrade
Cross
it.
Lane and then petition for a
Yeah.
road, yeah, it's unlikely.
Right, for now. You know, I mean, who knows what will happen in 20 years?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, if we only had a crystal ball and knew what was gonna happen.
But we don't, so I think you just have to make a decision based on the way it is right now.
Yeah,
I would
right.
agree.
so Marty, you telling me that if I took 100 acres and put a cul-de-sac in it, kept it as a private road, it's not a town road.
What's the
so
cul-de-sac
there's-
for?
Huh?
What's the cul-de-sac?
Because-
Okay,
And
yeah.
I could plunk in a house every acre and a half.
You'd have to make a subdivision.
Oh,
Not in Webster.
not if it's a private road.
No, you would have to, even to get a private road, you have to go before the planning board.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Even, yeah.
This one predates, remember?
This is no, it doesn't predate the planning board. This was
No,
approved
it
by
was
the
accepted
planning board.
Approved by the planning board, yes.
This was a road approved by the planning board.
Right.
You can't do that
Pre-zoning
now.
though, it's pre-zoning.
It's pre-zoning, but not pre-planning board.
Mhm. Right, the zoning, I think, took effect in 74, like a year after this.
The zoning, I think, took effect when somebody wanted to buy all that land to put a
A little hill to
development,
put
yeah,
up,
a little
to put up
hill?
a
yeah, a little
racetrack.
hill. Yep.
A racetrack.
That's not, all of a sudden, we didn't have zoning, and all of a sudden, everybody got nervous.
All of a sudden,
1,000
they had
acres.
zoning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what, that guy that bought the land up there. You gotta tell me on the way home.
I have to go look at my old story for the Monitor. I remember writing that.
Anyway, come on, let's, okay. So, you were saying, Bobby? What?
I was just saying, if I took and put in a cul-de-sac and plunked in 100 houses, that I am gonna put the road up to standards, I am gonna put anything up to standards to put in 100 houses, because it's private.
Well, no, you
No,
wouldn't.
no, you still need to be approved by the planning board.
Okay, so they're talking about going to 3 acres or 2 acres or whatever. So if I went to 3 acres, I could plunk them in at 3 acres and not have to worry about it.
That's,
You would still have to go to the subdivision.
Yeah,
application.
but they would subdivide me at 3 acres or whatever.
Right, and then you would have to do the road discussion, and that would be a whole separate discussion
Really?
with the planning board. And you'd have to lay out the road, and they would have the whole discussion of what the road would have to be. This predates all that, so we don't know what the discussion was on this road back in the past. So I can't speak to that. There's no minutes about it. I looked.
Really,
So-
no minutes.
Well, there are minutes that they don't talk about it.
Approved.
Yeah, basically.
They don't do minutes,
Helpful.
I like
A
that.
6-foot pad at the end of your driveway.
So I think the whole thing narrows down to the road frontage, that's it. And it's at the end of a road and,
well, yeah.
yeah, and it's a
It's
private.
Well,
not
and
on a
that's a
road
private
that's
road
served.
too. I mean, after all, a private road also comes under this, this statute also.
Yeah, I just reread
Yeah.
it, yeah. Okay. You ready for a motion?
Guy, do you have anything more to say? No? Okay. Then, I would say, what we have to do then is go through the qualifications of the variance. All right, so first, number one, no diminution in value of surrounding properties would be suffered. So, anybody want to discuss that?
I heard no opposition from the neighbors.
Yeah, I don't think it has any, wouldn't do anything to it.
I would certainly agree. I can't see
Yeah.
how this would affect, if anything, it will increase the value.
Yes,
Okay. Two, granting the permit would be of benefit to the public interest. So,
I think so. More tax money, more houses.
well, just
And we don't have to-
one more house.
Well,
Right,
yeah,
one
today.
more house. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all, we're all just doing
We're
today.
dealing with today, right?
Yes.
I won't be around for the next one.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna skip over 3. 4, by granting the permit, substantial justice would be done. That's always very easy.
You skipped over 3.
I know, so I'll come back to 3.
Gotcha.
Okay, so granting it's substantial justice. Again, you know, you're telling to somebody, you can't do anything with your land, right? Except just walk on it, right? And number 5, the use must not be contract to the.
Contrary.
Sorry, contrary to.
To the spirit of the
To the
ordinance.
spirit of the ordinance, and again, it's the same thing, because you know what the ordinance is saying, yes, you can use it for something. So let's go back to 3, denial of the permit would result in unnecessary hardship to the owner. Again, my thought is unnecessary hardship here if you say to the owners, sorry, you can't put anything on that property. And is that unnecessary hardship? You could say, yeah, they bought that land, you know, thinking that they should have known that they couldn't get anything on it. But on the other hand, you know, they could have also seen that there probably is some kind of a camper on it, you know. Anyway, to me, it's an unnecessary hardship if you say to them that you
Can't
can't
use
put
it.
anything on that, you can't use that property except to, you know, just,
Take a walk.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Or for a woodlot, or for recreation. There are other
Right,
purposes, they're just
right,
not
yes.
the higher purposes like a building lot.
Yes,
It would be a hardship to the owners, but
and I think that also would have something to do with what the neighbors, I mean, if there was a neighbor here who said, yeah, but I don't like the thought of it, you know, for whatever reason, that might be justified.
Sway your decision?
Yes, but, anyway, to me, I think it's.
And the neighbor we
unnecessary.
have is here and hasn't said
Right.
anything.
Right, well.
are there other neighbors here?
My father's a neighbor.
Your father, and he's good with it?
Yes, did you say yes, he's good with it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't see, I was putting my glasses on, sorry.
Hearing no further opposition,
So, any comments by the other? No? Okay. So, anybody wanna make a motion?
I could do that. I made a note that we approve, let's see, case 2402, the special exception, Article 5, Section 6, and the variance, Article 4, Section 2, with the condition. Where was my condition? That they meet the DES requirements.
Yeah.
You had good language for that, Russ,
All
what was it?
appropriate New Hampshire
Appropriate
DES.
DES permitting requirements.
My God, that's why he gets paid that big bucks. Second.
Okay. So,
Oh, thank you, I forgot my job.
Okay.
Okay, for or against Marty Bender?
I am in favor.
Check. Robert Drown?
In favor.
In favor. Barbara Corliss is in favor. Robert
No.
is not. Okay, no, he's not voting.
Abstain.
And D is?
Yes, in favor.
And we do it, and Guy?
In favor.
In favor. You have 5.
So, I expect to see that seasonal dwelling up by this summer.
I hope it's as pretty as his.
Once you get your DES permits and a building permit application, go with it.
Russ?
Oh, yeah, I'll take those. Yeah, I gotta write letters tomorrow.
Have one, airs up your
You leave them out, we're gonna use them again in 2 days.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Hey, we do need a motion.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Okay. Let's make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. This was a long one. No, we're heading to 9:30. Yeah. I don't know. So, and it's funny.